Good morning and welcome to Outdoors with John. Today we are in the Lincoln Woods Trailhead parking lot in the White Mountain National Forest. Okay, we're just getting started now. Come to our first junction here. We're just past the ranger station and we're on the east side trail. We're going to get on the other side. So we're going to follow the path back over to the bridge to get across the get across. What river is it? All right, so we're here. We just parked in the Lincoln Woods Information Center here and hiked on the East Trail. We're going to be crossing the east branch of the Pemigewasset River and take the Lincoln Woods Trail up to at least Osseo. There's some logging road remains in here. And if we go on up to here, this was a logging railroad, the Franconia Brook Trail, as was this line. This is the bridge across the east branch of the Pemigewasset River. Okay, we just finished crossing the bridge and the river. We're now on the Lincoln Woods Trail. Here's the old logging railroad bed. That follows it back to the road and down into Lincoln. There's the sign. It's 1.4 miles to Osseo Trail. And we're going to be heading east on the east branch of Lincoln Railroad. This section of the trail is very flat and is popular with cross-country skiers. Here the trail skirts to the left of a major washout from a 2011 storm. It leads to so many other trails. Just like the railroad, this is like the main line before people divert to go to other trails like Osseo, Franconia Brook, and the trail up to Boncliff. We're about 2 miles in on the hike. The logging railroad has been pretty straight. For a while it was pretty close to the east branch of the Pemigewasset. Right now we're going through a cut here with pine trees on either side, but as you can see sometimes, like behind me, we were on a fill. The railroad does that just to kind of level out the amount of dirt they move from A to B. It saves them money. This was, in fact, the main line of the East Branch and Lincoln Railroad. So we've come 1.6 miles and we've reached Camp 8 on the East Branch and Lincoln Railroad. There's a stream here and a trail junction. Trail junction is the Osseo Trail. And just up ahead on our left, as the right-of-way curves to the left, was logging camp number 8. This is a place where loggers would set up houses where people would eat, live, sleep, and they would just go off and work. At one point there was an inclined railway that took off here and kind of meandered up the hillside, followed this brook. We're going to take a quick look and see if we can find any remains of that. This clearing behind me is likely where Camp 8 buildings were. We're kind of in between where the narrow gauge logging railroad would have ended. They would have rolled the logs off and then reloaded them onto the standard gauge railroad on the left. The narrow gauge is probably over here someplace. I haven't really figured out where. Looks like we found a barrel here in the Camp 8 area. Looks like a 55-gallon drum. Well, another barrel over here as we're leaving Camp 8. Looks a little flat here as we're heading up towards Osseo Trail. And it's pretty flat back here. I think we're onto something here. We went from slightly raised to a small cut. So it looks like persistence pays off. I'll tell you, this would be nearly impossible to find in the summer because of all the branches and the growth. In the winter, you put your snowshoes on, it kind of equalizes all the terrain, and the wetness goes away. Most of the rivers are either frozen or there's a lot of snow over it, so you can deal with it that way. Got no bugs, no cobwebs, no spiders, no dirt, no mud. I'll take this, especially on a day like today. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to walk through this much in the summer. Right now, we've reached the Osseo Trail, and if you can see here, the trail coming in this way, just as it starts to go up, I mistook the railroad bed for the level spots up above where the yellow blaze is, but the railroad bed is right here just before you get into the quarter-mile wilderness zone. We're looking at a map of the East Branch and Lincoln Railroad drawn by Bill Gove in 2010. This map shows the main line up the East Branch, and at Camp 8 in the center of your screen now shows the narrow gauge how it was following the Osseo Brook with multiple switchbacks. It's likely that the railroad crossed somewhere over here and then had a switchback and headed up the other side of the river. But I'm not seeing a really safe place to cross. Alright, we're back on the Osseo Trail, following the yellow blazes. Just came up a steep hill, and the railroad grade would be at the bottom of this hill. Switchbacks and everything, we should come back to the railroad grade. If it comes back on this side of the river, we're going to go a little further and see if we can find any evidence of that. Okay, we've been climbing on the Osseo Trail, and we can see that the river down below is in a very steep valley. You have 4,000 footers to the left, and probably about 1,800 feet here. And if you look down the valley, it's nothing but steep. Persistence paid off again. I have found the switchback. I think the Osseo Trail, which is above me, actually runs on it, but I'm going down the switchback towards the river first. This is definitely a small shelf with a very steep incline. From what I understood, there was no locomotive. There was a cable draw and gravity feed on this railroad. And that would make sense. As we're coming down to the river now, probably there was a sharp turn here and there probably was a trestle. I think I'm coming to the end of the part where it would have been a trestle. Yep, straight ahead would have been the trestle. I climbed up from the stream bed back up the side of the hill to meet the path, but I think this is the only thing that would be the switch that would have been the railroad. So I think right here, the Osseo Trail is actually on the railroad grade. It's pretty steady grade, and it should go a little bit further. So we're going to keep going. That's the way we came. We're going to head that way and keep going until we convince ourselves that there's no way the railroad could have went any further. I'm even more convinced. I'll show you what I'm looking at. Basically a cut coming through here. So I'm pretty sure we're on the railroad bed. So the trail, Osseo Trail, and the narrow gauge join up as you get further in. Yeah, definitely very nice. We hiked further along. We came to an area where there was either a trestle or a washout. If you're interested in seeing where the rail bed went, I recommend you check in the notes and click on my AllTrails video. I have labeled some of these points on there on the GPS tracks so that you have an idea where I'm actually hiking. Shortly after passing this tree and this large rock alongside the right-of-way, we came to a point where the Osseo Trail went straight up and the last tail of the narrow gauge railroad continued at a continued straight ahead off to the left of the trail. Okay, I've just finished slogging through some trees here, but we are just running out of real estate here up against the river. Okay, I'm back on the trail. I just hiked up a few feet. Clearly, this stretch is too steep for the railroad, so that was the end of the line. So feeling good. We're sitting here inside of Mount Flume. I think that's Mount Flume. Anyways, getting pretty high in elevation, but it's time to turn around.